Okay, how we doing now? Can you hear me? Hello, hello, hello. Um, I tried to do a stream a few minutes ago and nobody could hear me. Ninja, tell me you can hear me. Hello, hello. God damn it. Can you hear? It told me to restart my phone and everything, which I did. Damn. Okay, give me. Oh, wait. You can hear me? Hello, hello. Oh, you can hear me? Don't get me too excited. I don't I don't know what happened. It told me to. It suggested restarting the phone, and you cannot hear me. Stop. Is that a yes or a no? I mean, um, you can hear me. Okay, so I don't need to stop it and start a real stream. All right, man. I talked for like 5 minutes about all kind of stuff, and then I found out nobody could hear me. A bit loud. Okay, that means I think I have it too close to the mouth. Is that better? Oh, I don't know what happened other than when I restarted the phone, it fixed it. Because it was what, like, when I talked, it would show the levels on the microphone would move. So I know it was picking up sound. It just wasn't transmitting it to, to you guys. So I'm glad I worked now. Good. Thank you so much. Sorry about that, guys. I don't know what, I have no idea what happened. I'm glad to know it's working now because I would hate to give up doing these. Um, I had started by going over the. I had started by saying that I tried to take the day off today, and I just couldn't quit you. So I wanted to check in, get a little bit of streaming in. I don't have anything in particular going on. I mentioned how it's the holidays, Christmas is coming up. I will probably do an all-day Christmas stream, as I usually do on the holidays, and probably also a Christmas Eve stream. So look for that. I'll be out tomorrow and Tuesday at my usual time, 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. Um, and then I started looking at the news, and I saw that this woman had got set on fire on the New York subway. And then I went on this big rant about what's with all the crazy violent people. Like there's like a um, no, I'm just sitting down. It's probably my microphone. Hey, Daniel Barry, again, once again. I think they can hear me now, so welcome. Oh, and I plugged Daniel Barry's channel too. I said how consistent of a viewer he is because I must have a tracker on me. He shows up every time. Every time I start a stream, he shows up right away. And to check out Daniel Barry Sports Highlights channel if you haven't already. That's where I go to for all of my sports highlights when I need them. Alan, are you trolling? Y'all quit fucking with me. You know how easy I am to fuck with. I believe that I'm audible because Ninja's talking about how I sound out of breath. Okay, good. And so, random, crazy, violent people, and how it seems to be increasing, and how every single day now I pull up the news and there's some story of some senseless act of violence, like the subway lady, or driving the car into the Germany market. And and then I had read a tweet by David Cray which I'll reread. And then I started going on a rant, and I realized nobody could hear me. So I think I've caught everybody up. It was 5 minutes of that. David says, if your kid is going on about the Zios, calling people incels, or thinks that Luigi is cool, then congratulations, your kid has been radicalized by online hate propaganda. Maybe it's time to enroll young Susie or Steve in sports or dance lessons. Get them into real life. And it brought me to a topic that's come up a lot lately. There's a movie called The Social Dilemma, which makes the claim of how dangerous modern social media is because the algorithm itself, based on what you click on, leads you to more and more radical content or something like that. It does it for me. Mine shows me mostly philosophy and psychology videos, but I don't really pay attention to the recommended videos anyway. And I have autoplay turned off. And I keep defending, I keep saying, people that use the internet are grown ass adults. And if you're kids, then that's a parenting thing. So I'm talking about the adult side of it. If they're watching outrage content or fear porn, then that's what they're choosing to do as adults. If they have autoplay turned on, if they're following recommended videos, if they're buying products that are recommended to them, they're doing that consciously. Nobody's controlling them or forcing them to do any of this. But then I see the stories about all the people getting radicalized and going out there doing crazy stuff. Again, I don't think the algorithm is making them do this. I don't think social media is forcing them to do this. I think they have individual issues themselves that make them vulnerable to this, maybe. But I don't think technology is causing anything. Yeah. And I was only talking about the adult side of it because the parenting, the kid side of it, I'm assuming that there's parenting being done. And so that if kids are using the internet, then it's somehow parents are allowing that to happen. And parents can step in and do parenting around that. But adults, because we're free to choose and make our own decisions, because the algorithm to me is neutral. If you were clicking on puppy and kitten videos, it would keep feeding you puppy and kitten videos. It's feeding you outrage porn and fear porn because that's what you're clicking on, because that's what you want to be seeing anyway. You want the drama, you want the outrage, you want the fear. Otherwise, you wouldn't be consuming it. And so to me, the issue is at the user end and human nature, because the technology is just bending and adapting itself to the natures of the existing users. And it's at the content creation end. So it's humans creating the content and other humans consuming the content, and the algorithm is just the distribution link that's connecting the two. The algorithm itself, I don't know what it's nothing to be scared of. Parenting is abuse. Well, I don't care about that. I don't really care about anything the leftists think. I guess the point of the separating the kids from adults in this issue is whatever's happening with the kids, the accountability is on the parent, who are the adults. So ultimately, it's an adult issue. At some point, the buck stops at some kind of adult somewhere. But before the internet, there was, first of all, the internet did not create propaganda. It did not create advertising. It did not create shock and outrage content. All of that existed before. We've had propaganda forever. We've had advertising. Autoplay on YouTube and people going down video rabbit holes is no different than people flipping cable TV channels all night long and watching whatever's on cable TV, the 200, 300 channels. So it seems like a moral panic and a manufactured crisis. I think you need to be an educated internet consumer, and you need to use the internet responsibly, just like you use guns responsibly, you drive your car responsibly. If you're not having the experience you want on the internet, then look at yourself. Don't Everybody wants some kind of scapegoat or external culprit they can pin the responsibility for their own choices on. There's two things. I'm going to go down another rabbit hole. And by the way, this is open panel. I'm just going to rant and yak and rave until people show up. But right, but I don't know. Like, I don't see what that's one of the arguments. Is it the algorithm knows you and it tailors to you? But I don't see what. So what if it tailors it to you? That doesn't seem like the end of the world. To have something that customizes content, all it can do is recommend. It doesn't force you to click on anything. So that doesn't seem like the end of the world that you're getting customized recommendations. I don't know what the fear and catastrophizing is over this. Oh my God, the algorithm's sending me stuff based on what I already click on. Danger alert. No, Zance. In fact, I'm saying the opposite. I was talking about that social dilemma movie and how the algorithm is controlling our lives, and we got to be worried and scared and everything. Hey, Mike, but I'm saying no. These are me. My framework for looking at human behavior, human psychology is choices. It's adult human animals, Homo sapiens, making choices. And then reaping the consequence of those choices, and then other people making choices in response to the choices that the people around them are making, etc. Well, Jack, talk to me about that. It can lead you into some scary places only if you go into the scary places. Like if I'm watching a video that I decide I don't want to watch, I turn it off. I quit watching it. Like nobody forces me to sit there and stare at the screen and watch something I don't want to see. So again, there's a choice. Mike, I'm glad you said that because that kind of ties into this. I, I as I try to grow this channel and grow this audience and grow this community, I kind of like look. I look. I kind of look for things that might be inhibiting that growth. And I think there's two things about myself that I've noticed that might be slowing the growth or preventing. Like I'm not a super like charismatic, happy, nicey like guy whose personality will just draw in half the world. I've never been that kind of person. I'm a little bit cynical. I'm very blunt. Some people find me rude, but I think it's the emotionality, the emotional intensity can be off-putting for some people. So that's one factor I think that works against me. And the other thing that for some strange reason drives people away that I've noticed, if people are not, um, if people are not complaining about me because of my emotions, they're complaining about me because of this one other thing. And it is the suggestion that people are responsible for their own lives and have personal agency. For some people, for some reason, that brings up more negative reactions, more pushback, more outrage from other people than any other position I think I've taken. There's something about people that is very hostile and resist the idea that they are responsible for their lives. I have had more negative interactions and more fights because of that one simple assertion than I think any other topic on this channel. And so, between my very hardline position on personal agency and my emotional intensity, I think if I think it's gonna helicopter. Do you think? I think it's gonna like lock me into a very niche audience, and which I'm okay with because I want the growth to be authentic. But it's just weird to me. I guess the point is it strange to me that of all things, that seems to be one of the two big barriers to gaining sympathy with an audience, is helping people to see. I do it from a position of empowerment. I'm helping people to see the power and control that they actually do have over their lives. And every single time I do that, people claw and scratch and spit and try to give the power back or put it on something else. And it's very disconcerting for me to watch people so consistently go out of their way to try to disempower themselves. There's something about people that don't want. I think they don't want the responsibility that comes with power, because if they're responsible for their internet experience and not the algorithm, then they have to look at themselves. And I think technology and the algorithm and whatever is just this is just it's the tools that we currently face our shadow side through. So it's not the algorithm that's scary, it's humans that are scary. It's the humans using the algorithm, and it's the content being created by the humans on the other end of the algorithm. And scapegoating the technology is not going to alleviate you from the responsibility of coming to terms with your own nature and your own shadow. And I think there's something in people that so desperately want that when I suggest no, the locus is with you. The locus of control is with you. And it's not the big tech companies, it's not the algorithm, it's not the ads, it's not any of that stuff. It's you. Your desires, your vulnerabilities. I think that's when I get the most pushback and resistance. All right, let me catch up on comments. Let's see. Helicopter parrots. Right, and my first thought about that was those were the Gen X. Like that was our generation. That was Gen X. How did Gen X become so helicoptery when we grew up so opposite? Why would we want to pass down those values to our children, having the direct experience of growing up free from those values? Let's see. Choose your own adventure. Yes, dear fire, exactly. Hang on, let me. I'm working off my phone. There you go. Exactly this. Choose, and you're the chooser. The algorithm is like the chapters in the book that you can turn to, but it's not forcing you to do anything. Now radicalization. The content is definitely out there, and the propaganda is definitely out there, and people are being connected to it. I think the solution is education and better content. I think good content drives out bad. So that, like, one thing I'm trying to do, I use the drama example here on YouTube. Drama will grow a channel like nothing else. When I was embracing the drama for a while, my numbers shot up. I had 50, 60, sometimes 70 viewers on the stream. It was very active, very lively. When I got rid of all the drama, my numbers plummeted, the viewer rates plummeted, all of that, which I welcomed. I was glad of, because it was an indication that the drama that I no longer wanted on my channel was going away. Drama brings numbers because that's what people want. Nobody's forcing people to like the drama. Nobody's forcing. If I go on a panel and there's too much drama, I leave and I click away. That's not what I'm looking for. That is exactly what a lot of people are looking for. They are choosing that content. The algorithm's not forcing them into it. And so one thing I do, one of my goals for the channel is to create non-drama content to give people an alternative to the drama for those that want it. And I know it's not going to be the numbers that want the drama, but at least there's other content to consume besides drama. So I think even though all the propaganda and other stuff's out there, I think we as humans have the ability to create better content that can compete And those that are vulnerable or that want or crave or desire the propaganda content or the drama content can have it. I think in a liberal society, nobody has any business telling adults what they can look at on the internet. Like you can criminalize the stuff that already falls under the criminal laws, but um, just because somebody's watching Alex Jones, like I have no use for Alex Jones. I think he's a conspiracy nut. I think he's misinformation, but I'm not sure he's doing anything illegal. And I think adults have the right to watch Alex Jones if that's what they want to do. And if it makes them idiots, then they ultimately pay the price for being idiots. Maybe I'm being naive about this. Maybe we also pay a price. But also, that's one of the risks of living in a liberal society. Let's see, kids are not as cognizant of recognizing what is bad for them. I'm not sure a lot of adults are, but again, that's parenting and education. So I think the solution to the issue is not to crack down on technology. I don't know what they want technology to do. The solution is better education so that we have more educated users and better content. And that's something we're all in control of. We can educate ourselves. We can put out content as an alternative to the content you object to. If you don't like what's on the internet, then make something better. You can make content just like anybody else. You mean like TikTok? Yeah, I don't even have a TikTok account. I cringe to think what's going on TikTok. Yeah, I don't think it's necessarily a good thing to protect kids from the world and reality. I think you put them at a disadvantage. Like the kids that know what's what and know what's going on in the world and know how to use technology are going to have a competitive advantage from the kids that are sheltered and are less adept at using technology because they've been sheltered from it. Vinny, hello, hello. Is that the little autistic kid I think in Tennessee? Yeah, see that people brought that up as an example of the algorithm. Um, like they want to make the algorithm responsible for that this kid wandered off in the middle of the night. The algorithm didn't make a kid wander off in the middle of the night. There's parents. There's the kid himself. I think he was autistic. We don't know what content he was looking at or if he was talking to another human being that enticed it. It wasn't an algorithm. It wasn't the technology. The technology is a tool. It's just like guns. It's neutral. It's the users of the technology that your issue is with. Robot legs. Kitty, do you know that in some places I hear this is illegal now? If your kids are out unsupervised, like the cops can come to you, can pick them up and come to your house and like cite you for not supervising your kids. We used to be able to go anywhere. We could go play in the park by ourselves. We could walk around the block by ourselves. I grew up in the country. We could like wander all over the woods, the fields. We could go ride our bikes everywhere we wanted to. None of that was illegal. Now, Jax, I do know that certain content, like with video games, how I do believe this part of it, that video games and the internet and social media and the algorithm, they do try to make it as addictive as possible. They want you in front of that screen playing the game or watching those videos as long as they possibly can. They want your eyeballs on that screen. And so I do think that they design and optimize for engagement. And it involves chemicals in the brain how much chemicals to release and when to give a pause and that kind of stuff. And they research and analyze all of this. But that doesn't mean that you can't be aware of it and that you're still not in control of when you stop using the internet. Like even their best attempt to addict you to the screen, you can overcome with a simple act of will. People overcome addiction, they overcome all kind of shit. So even that, and that's not even like, I think fentanyl is way worse probably than a computer screen. Yeah, I remember those Gen X days. Right. The algorithm, from what I understand, it's based on your click, like how you interact with a computer. First of all, you have the choice to not interact with the computer in the first place. I don't see the issue. I don't see the panic. Yeah, I think what we do what we can with parental education, but a lot of that is community based. It's churches, it's whatever communities the parents come from. I think I don't know if the state. I don't know if I want like a federal government parental education program. And me, I don't look at ads. My eye goes right past them. On Amazon, like the recommended, if you bought this, other people bought this stuff as well. I don't even look at that. I don't look at the YouTube recommended videos. I don't have auto, like, I don't, the algorithm is useless on me. It can be feeding me all kind of stuff and I'm not even paying attention to it. So it's just wasting its effort on me. Because when I'm on the internet, I'm there for specific reasons. I'm watching specific things. I'm looking up specific information. I have the YouTube channels whose content I want to see, and they're on a list. And so when they update their content, I get specific updates from that channel. I don't have random videos clogging up my feed. When I'm on Twitter, I follow very specific people, so I kind of know what content they put out and what to expect from them. I'm not just exposing myself to this like cannon shot of random information that my brain has to sift through and process. Yes, I know I've been called a libertarian before, except that I find them so authoritarian. Like the amount of I'm very alert to the amount of authoritarianism it would take to install a successful libertarian utopian. There's too much cognitive dissonance and contradictions in it for me. And the other thing I've noticed about libertarians, not so much the modern ones, but the ones growing up in my day, you can agree 99% with most of what they say, and they will fight you to the death over that 1%. Like they have it's all or nothing. You either agree 100% with everything, or they're going to continue to fight and persuade and persuade and persuade. They're not happy with just 99% agreement. Straight kitten. Yeah, I am concerned about the resiliency of kids these days and their social skills because they're not getting enough adversity to build resiliency, and they're not getting enough social interaction to build people skills. And I think we're going to see the effects of that downstream. Yes, they do. They're authoritarian control freaks. They want to tell everybody how to think, how to talk, what to do, what to watch, what to believe. Right. And that's the question I ask all the time in these conversations is who gets to determine, who gets to decide? And of course it's them. Because we already, in a liberal democracy, we already have a method of deciding all that. It's called open dialogue and debate, and people being able to do what they want and pursue their own happiness as long as they're not hurting anybody, like physically hurting anybody, not just watching something that other people are offended that they're watching. That's not harm. Jax. Let me see. Any. I'm not sure what this is advocating for. I am all for reducing the amount of monsters that we have in society. I think that's part of what civilization is. Oh, interesting. Well, you have healthy instincts, dear. That that you didn't fall for the shame or internalize it. You took it as an indication that you were in the wrong environment that wasn't aligned with your values. Okay, let me look, Ninja. Which censorship comment? Okay, this one. The woke cult is dying for censorship and for daddy government to be the arbiters of it. I think it's mommy government myself, but the issue is not who it is that gets to decide what is to be censored. It is who decides who gets to decide. Um. Oh, okay. And are much more influenced. That might be true. Like, I don't know. Again, I think it varies with the individual. I wasn't much influenced by peer pressure at all. I didn't care what the people around me thought. But even if that's the case, that's a parenting thing. That's an education thing. I don't. That was one of the arguments that was made was that vulnerable populations. First of all, if people are that vulnerable, don't put them on the internet. If watching the wrong video is going to cause them to have a mental breakdown or go out and don't put them on the internet. I don't believe most kids are that snowflakey. But I know kids are influenced. I was influenced. I know, like as a teenager, um, I think that's a rite of passage that kids have to go through. They have to navigate all those influences, and I think you educate like you. The thing that helped me to navigate it is I don't know how at some very early age I acquired a pretty strong and definite set of values. Like I knew not to murder people. I knew not to do burglary and crime. I knew not to do vandalism. I knew if I was angry and upset with somebody not to go tear down the school or slash their tires or like I just had this internal moral compass. So if I was around influences that were pressuring me to do that, I knew not to do drugs. I didn't start doing drugs till I was an adult, like in my 20s. And that's because I wanted to. Like I sought them out for very specific reasons. And I started with psychedelics. And so I was actively looking to have a psychedelic experience. Not because people around me were saying, hey, try this, try. Now, I did take up smoking out of peer pressure. I had this one girl, she was a friend of my sister, and I was 17. We were sitting on the swing one day, and she took out a cigarette, she was smoking, and she's like, have you ever smoked? You should try it. Look, try it. It's going to relax you. Try it. I'm like, okay. And I just started drinking at the time, too. I was 17 years old the first time I got drunk. So this was my 17 transitioning to adulthood phase. And I tried it, and I coughed, and I hated it, and it was nasty, and I never wanted another cigarette in my mouth again. And I was done with smoking. And then, like a year later, the same girl was over at the house, and we were sitting on the swing again. And she was pulled out a cigarette and started smoking again. And she's like, "Hey, remember that time last year when I tried to get you to smoke and you didn't like it? Well, just try it one more time. This time I'll teach you how to do it better." And I'm like, "No, I didn't like it last time." She says, "Come on, just try it. Just do it one more time. But you have to like take it in real slow and let it go into your lungs." And apparently I didn't do it right the first time. That's why I had a bad coughing experience. And so I gave in to the pressure the second time, and I'm like, okay, I'll try it this one more time. Maybe I didn't give it a fair shake the first time. And I was able to do a proper inhale, and that feeling that came over my lungs, my body, it was the most relaxed feeling I had ever felt in my life. And I was hooked. I'm like, oh my God, I didn't know this was what smoking was. I love it. I want to do this all the time. And I went out and bought packs of cigarettes, and I smoked for a couple of years. That was peer pressure. I would not have done any of that if that girl had not been there on the swing twice, pressuring me into doing it. I've had drugs. I've been at parties and people are like, "Here, take this pill." I was probably drinking in the first place, so my inhibitions were lowered. I put myself in those situations, and I still made the choice to take the pill or take the drink or do the whatever. All right, let's see. I'm still, wow, it's lots of comments tonight. Do you think, oh, where you are, you mean they're good? Because I was in the schools in the 2000s as a teacher. I watched them start to deteriorate during No Child Left Behind. So I can't imagine that they've improved much. I would probably have a mental breakdown of my own if I went into a school nowadays and saw what is going on in the classrooms. Jax, I don't believe that. I don't believe that people are that without agency that you have to actually use outside force to build better habits. All right, let's see. Okay, I'll try to look at it, Zents. I know I can't do it from the phone, but um, oh yeah, this is a different story. I think this was a recent one. It was a little autistic boy in Tennessee. But I've seen a lot of stories like this. I mean, I guess we would have all been in jail growing up because we walked around by ourselves all the time. We stayed by ourselves. Like we were staying home alone probably I was probably 9 or 10 years old, if not younger, when my mom started letting me stay home by myself. Um, these are some great comments, by the way. I'm glad I got the stream working because I would not have want to miss out on this conversation. Ah, good point, Kitty. Yes, of course, libertarian values, individuality, autonomy, personal freedom. That's all based Satanism. Right, Jax. That's another good point. The political will has to be there to fix it in the first place. And I think most people are probably content with their social media use and having an algorithm that feeds them things. Even that's a choice. Like if the algorithm is feeding you stuff that you're passively consuming based on what you click and you continue to do that, then that's because that's what you want doing. That's what you want. Hey Bex. Okay. Let me see. Yeah, I think it came through. That's it was the one about the mom. It was like a news story about the mom. Okay, it's a little slower going through the comments from the phone. So thanks for being patient. Well, that's one argument, Kitty. But the other argument is the kids that are getting the phones are going to be at a competitive advantage to the kids that are not getting the phones. I would give my kid a phone, and I would make sure they were well educated in the dangers and how to use it and the risk and the responsibilities that come with it. And I would check in with them and monitor their usage periodically too, and kind of see what they were up to. And I think building trust with your kid. I think if your kids don't trust, it's easier to do if your kids trust you. So you should ideally you're building trust with your kid the whole time before they even reach the age where they're ready for an internet phone. I don't know. I'm very hesitant of having. Oh, face it all. Okay, I thought you said force it all. Were you? You were a bad. I I was mischievous, but I wasn't bad. Like I didn't have this strong urge to enact violence for no reason, and even in retaliation. Hey, Axis, good to see you. Like if somebody pissed me off, my first impulse was not to go fuck their shit up. I usually just dealt with it on my own internally and just stayed away from them. Well, I think most kids know not to kill. I do know there's like a few psychopathic kids that probably don't, and there's the kids that kill animals, stuff like that. But I'd like to think they're the minority. I'm not naive about human nature. Believe me, what I may be naive about is the extent that civilization has modified that nature. I don't know what this means, but it sounds trippy. Right. Like my mom worked. She went to work before we even left for school. So we had to get ourselves ready, get ourselves to school. We came home from school way before she did. We had to whatever we did after school, feed ourselves, whatever. We didn't have adults around to rely on for all that. Exactly. I say that all the time, Jax, is we are in control of the people that we surround ourselves with. And those people can have an influence on us. That's why pick the best people you can find to be around. Don't pick the losers that are going to drag you down. Pick the people that are going to like support your positive goals for yourself and help you become more of the person that you want to be, that you're happy being. I should do an experiment one day. Maybe I will soon. Maybe I'll do one before the next stream tomorrow and report the results. But maybe I'll turn on autoplay or I'll follow the recommended videos and I'll see what rabbit hole they lead me down and I'll let you know where I end up. But I can tell you just from a superficial glance, it's mostly like philosophy videos, and sometimes it recommends movies or documentaries. You stole, vandalized. Well, getting mad and breaking things I can understand. I when I was, I don't know, I was probably 6 or 7, maybe 8, and I don't remember what I did. I had a lot of energy growing up, and I would just I was bouncing off the walls. Like I would run around the house. I would jump on the couch. Just energetic, not necessarily doing anything bad. I remember one time my babysitter was trying to get me to stop or something. I don't know what we were fighting about, but I remember getting so mad at whatever happened that I went to my bedroom, and my bed was up against the wall. It was like pushed into the corner of the room where one side of it was touching the wall, and I laid on the bed on my back and I put my feet against the wall and I started kicking just to get that anger. I was just mad and I just started kicking the wall. I didn't know what sheetrock was. I didn't know we lived in a sheetrock house. In about 2 seconds, both of my feet went straight through that wall. Big old hole in the wall. And I'm like, oh, oops, I didn't mean to do that. I felt horrible. I was crying. I was worried I was even more trouble now. My mom was not happy when she came home, but they ended up using this putty and they kind of pasted over. It was probably like the size of a large dinner plate. And the whole rest of my life, as long as we were in that house, I had this ugly putty circle on my wall next to my bed. They didn't smooth it or anything. They just like stuck the putty and covered the wall up. It was all rough and it dried that way. And it was like a reminder that you fucked up your wall. You know, you could have had a nice wall if you had not laid on your bed and tried to kick it. And so I think doing that was kind of a wake up call about getting anger and being like breaking things and getting physical. And so I think ever since then, I was a little more careful when I did have that anger. But that's not a I, that's not a bad like coping mechanism. Like you know, they have those rage rooms now where you can go pay, and they give you sledgehammers, and you can go break glass and break wood and furniture, whatever they have in that room. You could just go smash it up to get your anger out. You can throw axes now. I think all that stuff is good. I think it's a good outlet. I'd rather people go in a rage room and break the glass than tear up their house or kick their wall. Okay, I think and I don't know if the AI. Oh, I might have a guest. I don't know if the AI knows if it's a child or not. It probably does eventually. Okay, I need to see how to tell. I see you in the back. I just need to see how to tell. All right, just as I thought, it's a troll. Hang on. Haven't seen you in a while. Bex, if you're here, you must have a tracker on you. Yeah, acting out. I guess that's a good way to say it. I acted out. I had a lot of internal energy. I still do. I just act out. I just get it out in other ways now. But I mean, I rock. But I had a lot of internal energy that needed to come out. But also I was yep. I was I constantly running around outside. I climb trees. Like I love to climb trees. I could climb trees all day long. So I was constantly like climbing a tree and up in a tree somewhere. I had physical outlets that I could. I swing. We had a big swing set that I could swing on. I swing for hours and hours. So I kept my body active, and I think that helped. So being hyperactive, having a lot of psychomotor excitability, as long as you have constructive outlets for it. I don't think it's anything to pathologize or worry too much about. Yeah. And for some of us, that's just a natural part of us, however it works. Chemicals, brain structure, whatever. That's just our baseline norm. And it's not hurting anybody. Being hyperactive and energetic is not hurting anybody. And if that's the level that our nervous system and brain is most comfortable with and operates the best at, then I think you let us be that. I don't know the point of interfering with it other than it makes you more comfortable. And then you don't have to like explain everything to your friends of why your child's acting that way. But if you're child focused, like my mom, she's very like what will the neighbors think? So like a lot of her issues with me were not necessarily about me personally, but they're about how they reflect on her as a mother or the family. And so she didn't want to have to constantly be explaining me or apologizing for me. If I was by myself and there was not other people around, she didn't care. So it was more like the impression that I made on other people that she didn't want to have to be responsible for. And she wasn't responsible for it. Like she's not in control of what my body's doing. That's me. But she didn't really she didn't know how to explain me to other people. And she didn't want to have to explain me to other people. So a lot of her attempts to try to get me to be normal was out of that motivation. So that I wouldn't like draw negative attention to the family. Which I really didn't, not as much as she feared. Like her fears about that were way out of proportion to the amount of negative attention I actually drew because most people didn't really care. Well, my God, I've gone almost an hour. Um, I always start these with a just kind of some random topic and see where it goes, hoping that at some point we get a panel. But if no one wants to come on tonight, then I'll wrap it up pretty shortly. Let me check some more tweets real quick and see if there's anything else. I have some other tweets that I'm going to save for tomorrow because they're graphic. There's like charts and stuff, and I can't share those on my phone. Um, ooh, here's a really good one, but it's long. I think I might just make a whole topic about this one. Let's see. I'll read this one. I like this one. This is from the unmitigated ass. If you're on Twitter, he's a good follow. It's at unmitigated ass, and his logo is a pair of ass cheeks smoking a pipe with a hat on. It's just random quotes. Here we go. I'm against free speech. Okay, shut up. I think we should redistribute wealth. Okay, then redistribute your own. Mine is off limits. I think only police should have guns. Okay, you hang a gun free sign on your house and I'll leave mine ambiguous. These issues solve themselves if you stand on the principles. I think one of the problems I see, again, it goes back to education. I think I don't know if it was Schoolhouse Rock or what, but I, I got educated somehow with a pretty strong idea of what liberalism is, what democracy was, what the norms for a society built on those principles were. I'm not sure these new generations are getting that same kind of education because they seem to have this really knee jerk recourse to what I view as very illiberal tactics. And in a liberal society, like if the first thing you think of is to shut down speech or redistribute wealth or take away guns, there was some kind of deficiency or gap in your education of what democracy and liberalism was. And I think people don't. I don't know. I like living in a liberal democracy with the kind of freedoms we have, and I think people maybe don't appreciate the value of that, or don't have the education to understand why those norms are what they are. All right, let's see, Jack. The more you use it, yes. There's this. This is my view on that kind of stuff, on emotion and strong emotional reactions. When you become aware of an emotional reaction as an adult, technically even as a child, but I'm only going to include adults, you get to decide what to do with that reaction. You're not locked into any one course of response. You're not forced to do any one thing in particular. You can be aware of the reaction. If you want to get it out, if you want to like act it out, get it out. If that's one of your choices as a response, and it's constructive and it's not going to hurt anybody. If you want to smash glass at the rage room or whatever, that's fine. If you want to sit on it and process it, or talk about it with your therapist, that's also fine. You get to decide what if you want to express it and take the consequences of that expression. If you want to hold it in, there's a range of choices you have when you become aware of a strong emotional reaction in yourself. Oh no, what show, Jax? I'm looking for shows to watch. Actually, there's two series that I'm kind of watching them both at the same time. One of them I've seen before, but I'm actually appreciating it more the second time around. It's called The Curse. I think it's a Netflix series. No, it was Showtime with Emma Stone and Nathan Fiedler. It's about this yuppie couple who are doing this reality show based around eco-friendly gentrification. It's hilarious. It's a satire. It's a very dark, bitter satire on modern society, and it's hilarious without you ever being aware of why exactly it's funny. And then the other one is called Maniac with Jonah Goldberg and again Emma Stone. And it's they go they he goes to this it's the modern world, and it's like a dystopian vision of today's reality, and the algorithm plays into it, and advertising, like you can pay for things by watching certain ads. If you don't have the money to like buy a pack of cigarettes, they have something called Ad Buddy, and you can watch a certain amount of ads, and they have people that they hire to sit next to you and read ads to you for a certain amount of time, and then you get a credit as a result of listening to the ads that you can use to pay for your shit. And they sign up for these pharmaceutical trials, and they start this drug, and all kind of weird stuff starts to happen from there. What is the Madness Show? Let me look it up. Is it a TV series? And we can watch any of this in the Discord that you want. Let's see. Is it an action conspiracy thriller? Ooh, this looks good. It looks like a mystery. I love mysteries. Oh, Jax, I might watch this if it's the one you're talking about. Well, we can go watch something in Discord if you want. I'm really into this Maniac show and this Curse, and then possibly this Madness thing. It's called The Madness. Is it a black guy? Crime, drama, thriller. Yeah, I found it. Let me know if that's the one because I'm. Oh, okay. Well, hey, if you want, we can go watch it. I'd love to check it out. I've gone an hour, so I feel like I put in a decent stream today. I'll be out tomorrow at the usual time, tomorrow and Tuesday, and then Christmas. Oh, actually, Tuesday is Christmas Eve, right? So tomorrow, normal time. Tuesday, probably also the normal time, but in addition to that, I'm going to do a Christmas Eve stream because I love, like growing up, Christmas Eve was almost a bigger holiday or just as big as Christmas because that's when Santa passed. And every Christmas Eve, this is what should have tipped me off about the Santa thing because this was our pattern. This is when my mom, we were with the stepdad. So we had stepdad, stepkids. So we had like the Brady Bunch family. And every Christmas Eve, because they knew that we couldn't wait till Christmas morning. And Christmas morning was usually like the family gifts. We got gifts from mom and dad and relatives and stuff. So Santa gifts were usually on Christmas Eve. And we would go out to dinner every Christmas Eve. Oh, okay, dear Fire. Let me look, there's my Discord name, Gen X Jeff. Just hit me up and I can send you an invite. Um we'd go out for dinner on Christmas Eve and we'd get in the car, the big station wagon. And we'd be in the car waiting and my stepfather would always forget something. He forgot his wallet. He has to make a phone call. He has to, oh, I have to go to the restroom real quick. And so we would be sitting in the car and he would go in the house for like 10 or 15 minutes. And we'd sit there, we'd wait. And then he'd come back out and we'd drive to the restaurant. And on the way there or back, depending on the time, that's when you could turn to a certain radio station and they would track Santa across the world and they would tell you where Santa is. And we would listen and try to hear where Santa is. And we would always wonder, is Santa going to stop by tonight or do we have to wait until tomorrow? That was always the big question for Christmas Eve. Were you getting your gifts that night or were you going to be asleep before Santa passed? And I did the cookie and milk thing and all that stuff. I remember one year I left the cookie and milk out and my parents had gone to bed before me. And I woke up in the morning and it was still there and they didn't eat it or throw it away, whatever they do with it. And I was so hurt that Santa didn't eat my cookie. But I was happy enough with my gifts that I forgot about it after a while. But anyway, and every time we got back from the restaurant, we'd walk in the house and the gifts would be under the tree. And we were so excited that Santa passed while we were out to eat because my stepfather was putting out the gifts. Every time he went in there to get his pretend wallet or make the pretend phone call, that was his excuse to put the gifts out. And I never made the connection as a kid. I never noticed that pattern. And so, but it was magical too to like have this nice Christmas dinner somewhere and then come back and have the feeling that, oh, Santa came early while you were out. And now you get to open your gifts and stay up half the night playing with them. Wait, Jax, you grew up in a cult? What? What? I want to hear this story. Maybe you can tell it in Discord. Yes, Zence, I agree. I just discovered Krampus recently, the last few years. And I don't Santa's not real anymore. He's our parents. But Krampus, I don't know that he's not real. He might still be out there. I remember I've told this story before, but I'll tell it real quick. When my loss of innocence, when I found out there was no Santa, It was a turning point in my development. My whole childhood came crashing down. We lived across the street from my grandparents, and they had a pasture with a big barn in it. And apparently they would buy the gifts ahead of time and they would keep them in the barn. That's where they hid the gifts from the kids. And one Christmas, my stepsister, who was older, saw my stepdad coming out of the barn one night with the gifts. And she confronted him. And they told her not to tell the rest of the kids. So, of course, that secret is too good to keep. She comes and she tells my sister first. And then she tells me and my stepbrother. She pulls me aside one day and she tells me about seeing my stepfather come out of the barn with the gifts. And I didn't want to believe her. Like, I had so much cognitive dissonance. I did not want to believe that Santa was not real. She was lying, except her story made too much sense. It was too credible. And it had too much like details and empirical data. And I cried and cried and I broke down and I ran to my mom and I told my mom what my stepsister just told me. And then my stepsister got in trouble for telling us after they told her not to tell us. And somehow my mom convinced me that, okay, Santa's not real, but the Easter Bunny and the Tooth Fairy still are. And I believed her. So for like another year or so, I still hung on to the fact that the Easter Bunny and the Tooth Fairy were real. But eventually that faded away pretty quickly too, once I put it all together. But before the Santa incident, I busted my mom one day on the Tooth Fairy thing because I had lost a tooth. What age are you when you lose teeth? Like 7, 8? 6, I don't know. And I had lost a tooth one day, and I always got excited when I lost tooth because I knew the tooth fairy was going to pass, and I'd get like some quarters to buy candy at school the next day. And I put my tooth under the pillow, and I was so excited. And I woke up in the morning, and I pulled my pillow back, waiting to see how much, because usually it was quarters, but sometimes she'd leave a whole dollar. It just depended. I never understood how the tooth fairy determined how much each tooth was worth. And I pulled back the pillow, and the tooth was still there, and there was no money. And again, I cried. I threw a fit. And my mom came running. What happened? What's wrong? What's wrong? The tooth fairy didn't pass. And my mom didn't say anything. And she's like, well, just lay down. Just stay in bed and just lay down. I'll be right back. And she walked out of the room and she came back and I was on the pillow. She had me like lay down on the pillow. And as I was laying down, I could feel her hand wiggling under the pillow. And I'm like, what are you doing? And she's like, oh, look, the tooth fairy did leave you some money. And there were some quarters under the pillow. And she had taken the tooth out. So she had tried to trick me and slip the money in there while I was laying on the pillow while she was sitting there comforting me. And I caught her because she wasn't very good at it. I said, you put that there. I felt your hand. And then she said, well, my mom's good, I guess. She's really good at making up believable lies. And she said, well, all right, I did. But, sometimes the tooth fairy gets really busy and she leaves the money with the parents and we have to put it under the pillow. And I just forgot to put it under last night. But here's some quarters for you that the tooth fairy told me to give you. And I'm like, oh, okay. All right. Well, the tooth fairy did come after all. I'm happy. I could get my candy at school and everything. And so for years after that, I still believed in the tooth fairy because she pulled it off. She convinced me that sometimes it's the parents. And that's what they tried to say about Santa too, but I wasn't falling for it a second time. When I found out about Santa, my mom tried to pull sometimes Santa's busy and the parents have to put the gifts out. And I said, no, that's what you said about tooth fairy. I don't believe it this time. That story was too real. I got played. Yes, exactly. I was so easy to play as a kid. But in a way, I'm kind of thankful that I was as easy to play as a kid too. And you reminded me of one more story that I'll tell, and then I'll call it a night. In kindergarten, we had our Christmas party. We had a Christmas tree in the corner, and my desk was right by the Christmas tree in the back. I sat like in the back of the row where the Christmas tree was. And that was when, for your Christmas party, your parents are supposed to like buy you a gift that you wrap and take to school that day, and then all the class opens up their gifts. And my mom let me pick out my gifts. So we went shopping the night before, and I picked out this oil painting kit. That, remember the paint by numbers, where maybe it was acrylic. It had this little set of acrylic paints, and then you would paint this board by numbers, and it would make a picture. And mine was a picture of a dog. It was an Irish setter in a field. And I was so excited to paint this thing. And I picked it out, and we went home and we wrapped it. And I brought it to school the next day for the party. And we put all the presents under the Christmas tree in the back, right by my desk. And I remember it was like the Christmas party was in the afternoon. It was going to be after lunch, after nap time, because in kindergarten, believe it or not, we used to have to take naps. They had these plastic, like vinyl, ugly looking. They were like olive green color pads. And they were stacked in the corner. It was nap time. You had to go get a pad and lay it on the floor and like lay down for 15 or 20 minutes, and the teacher would turn the light off. I hated nap time. And so it was going to be after nap time. But sometime in the late morning, the girl in front of me turned around and she said, "You can open your present if you want." And I said, "Huh?" She said, "Yeah, the teacher just told us we could open our presents." I said, "But the party's not till after lunch." She goes, "But didn't you hear her? She just said we could." And because I sat in the back and the teacher was way up front, I wasn't really sure what the teacher had said or if she had said we could open them or not. And I'm like, my instinct was telling me not. Like, don't just take your present and open it. But this girl was so convincing. So I grabbed my present and I'm like, "Are you sure?" Because I was so excited to paint this dog. And she's like, yeah, the teacher said we could. And I'm like, "Okay." And I start opening this present in the middle of the class while the teacher's up front teaching. And she catches me because I'm making noise, wrapping paper. And she was a mean teacher. I didn't like our kindergarten teacher. And she starts fussing at me. And she had a stick. You know those wooden sticks you point with the handle? She always had a stick with her that she would point at things or hit the table with. And she was mad and she started fussing at me. And I felt so bad. I felt like I had did something awful without meaning to. I felt like I had done something really bad or destructive to society. And I felt so much guilt and shame for opening that gift when I knew in my heart that that girl was lying and not to open that gift. And it ruined that Christmas. Like, I think my mom had to come pick me up and take me home. I don't think I don't think I went to the party or anything. I was just useless the rest of the day because I had opened this gift before I was supposed to, because I believed this girl, which she told me. And it was a prank. She was trying to get me to open the gift so she could laugh at me that she pulled off a prank. So yes, I was that kid. I was very easy to play. I still am. People fuck with me all the time. And look at all the childhood trauma that y'all helped me open up today. I wasn't ready to go there. Use your brain to mark time. It's strange. well, Jax, do you want to go check out that movie? Just give me like, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes or so, and I'll go set it up in Discord. And even if you don't come watch, I might leave it running for anyone else that wants to join. All right. I think this has been a very full, productive night. And it definitely was a fireside chat from hell. And tomorrow, 4 p.m. East Coast, 1 p.m. West Coast. I'll see you then. She was playing with breaking her character. She was, it was not about you. You talking about the girl or the tooth fairy thing? Well, either way, I think it's You too, Zets. You too. And happy holidays if I don't see any of you before then. Although I'll probably be streaming plenty because I don't really celebrate the holidays much. And so I don't have anything else to do but stream. Um, I don't, I, I don't think I don't like it when people fuck with me that way. But I've played pranks on other people before as an adult, not necessarily as a kid. And there's April Fool's Day and all that stuff. So I know it's part of our modern culture. I can roll with it and have fun with it. As a kid, it was traumatizing. But as an adult, I'm a little better sport about all of that. But yes, I'm always the one that people try to like. I get pranked, I get punked, I get practical joked, I get April fooled because I am such a gullible sucker for all of that stuff. It's the naivety. I don't know how to filter that people are playing me. That's why I worry if I ever go to one of these reality shows, how good I would actually do. I think I'm going to be this big mastermind Machiavel, but I'm probably going to get played so hard if I ever try to play any of those games because I'm so easy to fool. So anyway, I will call it a night. We're going to be in Discord watching that Madness movie that Jax was talking about. If you want to join us there, please do. If not, I will see you tomorrow. Have a good rest of your night. And it's been great hanging out. I really appreciate all of you. I enjoyed it a lot. Uh, thanks again. And take care. Rock on.